I'd like to start this with some music. This week, I almost got nothing done because I was distracted by a question. And the question is, who are you really? And does what you do for work emphasize that, or does it distract from who you actually want to become? And this question and my answer has a lot to do with Marc Rebillet.
Get the out of bed, go!
This week started really great because I had an invitation to come to Frankfurt to hold a keynote for Deutsche Bahn. So I traveled to Frankfurt on Monday, and on Monday I met Lars. Lars is a fellow video creator from Frankfurt who also has the same question in mind. Because we had a really long and deep conversation about how to balance the passion for video creation and expression and everything that we want to do with projects we do for a living, and if there's kind of like a way in between, and if so, where that in between is and how to find it. And Lars, thank you so much for spending time with me, and to all of you who don't know Lars.
Chance is not that high compared to sunrise and sunset, but we got approximately 4 hours we are driving today.
He makes a lot of videos and I hope to do something together with him. We didn't record anything that we did on Monday, we just had a really, really good conversation. And so the next morning I went on to go to Deutsche Bahn, and I had prepared my keynote, and in the keynote I talk a lot about my own story. And I think this kind of emphasized the process that the conversation with Lars had kicked off, because I talked a lot about my own transformation from somebody who studied electrical engineering and worked in product management, and then through parkour and free running and other things turned into this freelancing guy who focuses with his work on learning. But in the last years, I found out that it's not just learning, but it's also creating videos, making music, and trying to express things and trying to find things that are important to people. And so in my keynote and talking about these things, I think I already started thinking about what this means to me and what it means to where I am right now. And then something happened. Marc Rebillet stepped on the plan. How so? There is a podcast by YouTube Germany, and one of the hosts is Sina, and I've been in contact with her and following her on LinkedIn for quite some time. And I asked her whether they would also accept English-speaking guests, and in that she reminded me that they did have an English-speaking guest, which was Marc Rebillet. And for me, the name kind of rung a bell, but I didn't know who he really was. And that's when I went down a rabbit hole.
The stage personas, it's not that different from me, really. It's more an exaggeration, I would say. You know, it's just an exaggeration.
Because what Marc does is both genius and crazy and vulgar and expressive and all those things at the same time. I was intrigued by the way that he moves people with his music. He seems to express what he thinks, and it does, well, sometimes in a not very friendly way, to the extent that I felt a bit scared by what he was doing. I watched so many videos and realized here is somebody who found the balance, seemingly found the balance between passion and making money. because, and if you go through the comments, you will see all that, he seems to be like a person who doesn't give a flying about what people think of him. And I think that is a superpower that each and every one of us who try to balance the passion and the money side can learn from somebody like Mark. I'm not lying when I say that I did really go down a rabbit hole when I found out about his existence or got reminded of it, because I do think that I watched about 3 to 5 hours of his videos just because I was so amazed and scared and surprised and curious. And I think after all that excitement and going down the rabbit hole, I realized that this kind of points the question directly to me, because I do know what I find interesting and intriguing, but I haven't yet found a way to really turn all of this into a real business. Yes, I spend a lot of time talking about learning, and I do spend a lot of time working with organizations and trying to help them in learning. But there's this whole other part. And my whole other part also has to do with music. And of course, I'm nowhere nearly as talented as somebody like Mark when it comes to music. But that always reminds me of somebody like Rick Rubin, who famously claims that he doesn't have any idea about music, or he doesn't play instruments well, but still he's one of the greats in the music business. And so all this thinking about who I am or who I want to be and what my passions are, they did really block me from working this week, because whenever I opened my emails, I felt like I should be taking care of something else. And I'm saying this from a very comfortable position, because like I said, my business has grown and right now is quite healthy. But then again, I think, is this really what I want to be doing? And in parts, it definitely is. But then there are other parts that I feel so passionate about that I think, should I not go down this road? And this was also one of the themes that the conversation with Lars had, because Lars also said that he wishes to have more time to do all the things that he thinks he needs to do, or the things that he simply wants to do. And for me, I think if something touches me really deeply, then I'm immediately intrigued, and I do want to be a part of creating something like this. So one of the things that touched me deeply just this morning was from a concert from, they're called Boy Genius, when Hosier stepped on the stage to sing a few lines with them. And I hadn't heard anything from Boy Genius before. I'm just a big Hosier fan. I just knew their guitar player, and I could immediately feel what was happening on stage when I watched these few seconds, and I could feel what happened in the audience, because there was so much respect for the craft. There was so much respect for what had just happened. And everybody in the room seemed to agree that what they just experienced was magnificent, was something extraordinary. I cannot answer the question who I want to be just now. And to be honest, I don't know if that's necessary. What I think is necessary, though, is what I've tried to express just now. I'm figuring out what those things are that give me goosebumps, that I feel like I want to be a part of, both experiencing and creating, and then try to start from there. And I think for every one of us who want to create anything, this will always be kind of the thing we try to balance between the, well, we do need money to make a living. But on the other hand, take the risk to go down the road where you don't know where it ends. And to be honest, I'm really curious about trying to find that out for myself, where this can end up, where I can go with this. And I think now I'm gonna watch a bit more of Mark just because it's so fascinating.